World War II was the deadliest conflict in human history, claiming the lives of over 70 million people and reshaping the modern world. It spanned 6 years, from 1939 to 1945, involving more than 30 countries across Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Pacific. But how did it begin? What were the most pivotal moments? And what impact does it still have today? In this video, we'll break down the full story of World War II, from its origins to its lasting legacy, in a way that's clear, engaging, and easy to follow. Whether you're a history buff or just curious about this monumental event, this video is for you. Let's begin with the roots of the conflict. The Treaty of Versailles. After World War I ended in 1918, Germany was forced to sign the Treaty of Versailles in 1919. This treaty imposed harsh penalties. Germany had to accept full responsibility for the war, pay massive reparations, and disarm most of its military. The German economy collapsed, and resentment festered, creating fertile ground for extremism. Rise of Hitler and Nazi Germany. Out of this resentment rose Adolf Hitler and his Nazi Party. By 1930, Hitler became Chancellor of Germany, promoting a radical nationalist and anti-Semitic ideology. He promised to restore Germany's former glory, rebuild the military, and expand its territory. The Nazis began to violate the treaty by rearming and annexing regions like Austria and the Sudetenland in Czechoslovakia. Expansion of fascism and imperial ambitions. Elsewhere in Europe, fascist regimes gained power. Italy, under Benito Mussolini, pursued aggressive expansion in Africa. Meanwhile, Japan had already invaded Manchuria in 1931 and later expanded into China in 1937, seeking dominance in Asia. Failure of the League of Nations. The League of Nations, formed after World War I to maintain peace, failed to stop these aggressive moves. Its lack of enforcement power and the absence of key nations like the US made it ineffective. These factors created a volatile environment, and in 1990 the world exploded into war. Key events of the war. Invasion of Poland, 1939. On September 1, 1939, Germany invaded Poland using a military tactic called Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War, fast, coordinated attacks with planes, tanks, and troops. In response, Britain and France declared war on Germany, marking the official start of World War II. Fall of France, 1940. In May 1940, Germany launched a massive invasion of France through the Ardennes forest, bypassing the heavily fortified Maginot Line. By June, Paris fell, and France surrendered. Germany now controlled much of Western Europe. Battle of Britain, 1940. Hitler turned his sights on Britain, launching air raids in what became known as the Battle of Britain. The Royal Air Force, using radar technology and unmatched bravery, successfully defended the skies, forcing Germany to abandon its invasion plans. Operation Barbarossa, 1941. In June 1941, Hitler betrayed his pact with Stalin and invaded the Soviet Union. Operation Barbarossa was the largest military operation in history, with over 3 million German troops. It initially saw rapid success, but the Soviet winter and fierce resistance stalled the Nazis outside Moscow. Pearl Harbor and US enters the war, 1941. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Over 2,400 Americans were killed. The next day, the US declared war on Japan, and soon after, on Germany and Italy. The war was now truly global, the Holocaust. While battles raged, the Nazis carried out one of history's greatest atrocities, the Holocaust. 6 million Jews, along with millions of others including Romani people, disabled individuals, and political prisoners, were systematically murdered in concentration camps. Pacific battles, Midway and Guadalcanal. In 1942, the tide began to turn. At the Battle of Midway in June, the US Navy dealt a decisive blow to Japan, sinking 4 aircraft carriers. On land, the battle for Guadalcanal in the Solomon Islands was the first major Allied offensive in the Pacific and marked the beginning of a long, brutal island-hopping campaign. D-Day and Liberation of Europe, 1944. On June 6, 1944, D-Day, Allied forces landed on the beaches of Normandy, France, in the largest amphibious invasion in history. This opened a Western front and, combined with Soviet advances in the East, led to the liberation of Nazi-occupied Europe. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, 1945. With Japan refusing to surrender, the US dropped atomic bombs on the cities of Hiroshima, August 6th, and Nagasaki, August 9th. Over 200,000 people died, many instantly, others from radiation exposure. Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945. Surrender of Germany and Japan, Germany, had already surrendered on May 8, 1945 after Hitler died by suicide in his Berlin bunker. Japan's surrender in August brought the war to an end. Consequences and legacy. The human cost. World War II left a staggering human toll. Over 70 million dead, including civilians, soldiers, and Holocaust victims. Cities lay in ruins, economies were shattered, and millions were displaced. Creation of the United Nations. In 1945, world leaders established the United Nations to promote peace, security, and cooperation. The goal was to prevent another global conflict and address issues like human rights and development. Start of the Cold War. The alliance between the US and the Soviet Union quickly dissolved into suspicion and rivalry, sparking the Cold War, a decades-long standoff of nuclear threats, proxy wars, and ideological battles. Decolonization and reshaping global power. After the war, many colonies in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East demanded independence. The old empires began to dissolve, and new nations emerged. The US and the Soviet Union became superpowers, influencing global affairs for the rest of the 20th century. World War II reshaped the modern world. It showed the horrors of unchecked power and the resilience of people fighting for freedom. It introduced new weapons, alliances, and ways of thinking about international responsibility. Understanding this war isn't just about dates and battles. It's about recognizing how easily the world can fall into chaos and how crucial it is to protect peace, democracy, and human rights. As the survivors of this war fade into history, the responsibility to remember and learn from the past falls on us. As Winston Churchill once said, "Those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it." Thanks for watching. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, and subscribe for more history content that helps make sense of our world.